Aloha e komama everyone to this HIAMFT Facebook Live Monday event. We're trying to do these on a regular basis right now during the legislative session so that we can keep you apprised of the happenings on some bills that we're trying to move through and some other stuff that we're supporting and endorsing. It's just me today. I'm hoping that next week our lobbyist, Becky Gardner, will be joining us and sharing some wisdom with us on the process of making an idea into a bill, into a statute or a law, and then, of course, some cool updates on what she's doing for HIAMFT, HPA, and NASW, aka the mental health HUI, specifically. So all that being said, something I thought that I could do today would be share with you the actual testimony that occurred last Friday on our associate licensing bill. And that bill number, because I know you're interested in this stuff, is, give me a second, wait for it, bill number SB2680, relating to health. Oh, no, excuse me, that's the Our Care, Our Choice bill. My apologies. Actually, since I mentioned that one first, why don't I just go ahead and talk about that? So Our Care, Our Choice, SB 2680, is a bill that is being proposed by advanced practice registered nurses, APRNs, who are wanting to become part of the folks that are considered qualified to provide counseling services to those who are engaged in the Medical Aid in Dying, or Our Care, Our Choice Act. And psychologists and social workers are listed on that. And we think that it's a great idea to have other people who are qualified to provide those services be on that. We know for a fact that at the federal level, psychologists, social workers, APRNs, they are considered part of the and MFTs, I should mention, psychiatrists, of course, are considered part of the 5 core mental health professions. We would have no problem if mental health counselors also wanted to hop on board on that. We think that anybody who is qualified to provide those counseling services should be allowed to do so. And so we are going to support this bill with the amendment that we add MFTs because we represent MFTs. And speaking of representing MFTs, Danny Gardner has just joined us. Hey, Danny.
Good morning.
Oh, this is so much better. I'm not a big fan of just talking with only myself here. So thanks for. Uh, Danny is the East Hawaii chapter rep, as well as becoming instrumental in helping me in some of my presidential responsibilities of HIAMFT. Like the email debacle yesterday, Danny. Thank you so much for helping me.
You're welcome.
Uh, so folks know what that was. I have a program that sends out large numbers of emails when I'm trying to send out updates to folks, and somehow I either press the wrong button or the email program made a mistake, which is not likely. It's probably me. But it sent out a previous email that it had already sent to folks saying, hey, tomorrow is legislation day. Let's get there. And a couple of folks wrote me and said, we're confused. I thought we already did this. I was at the movies with my daughter at the time, and I couldn't get to my computer to send out a correct email. So I sent Danny a text, and she saved the day by letting everyone have the actual updated email that I meant to send. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Danny, I was just talking about the Our Care, Our Choice Act, which is trying to get APRNs into the statute that would qualify them to provide counseling services to those seeking medical aid in dying, and that I'm going to actually testify today, I think at 1 or something,
Okay.
to suggest that MFTs also be included in that. And this is something we had tried to do last year. I don't think the bill made it through the second reading. Somewhere it stopped moving in the process. So hopefully this year it'll make it through. Of course, we're all about expanding access to care, right? And the utilization and the quality of that care is important too. So this is just in line with that.
That's right.
But the biggest update that I wanted to provide is on the associate licensing bill that did make it through to the next phase. In fact, let me see if I can just share that with y'all really quick. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so here is SB2829 relating to mental health. This is the provisional license, and it would add marriage and family therapists, psychologists, and social workers already have a provisional license, but it's not always reimbursed through insurance. So this would require insurance to reimburse for that particular provisional license as well. As you can see here, it made it through, let's see, 4 ayes, and there was 1 excused. But I thought it'd be cool if we just actually looked at it, the actual testimonies. Interested?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do it. Let me make sure my sound is on first, actually. Share with sound. Okay. Where'd it go? I think it's... Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Last measure on this agenda, SB2829, relating to mental health. This establishes provisional or associate level licensure requirements for marriage and family therapists and psychologists, and authorizes insurance reimbursements in certain circumstances. It also allows psychologist license applicants to sit for the licensing examination before completing other requirements. First, we have the Bcca offering comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Keoho Kalole, Vice Chair Baker, and members of the committee. My name is Rasha Araki. I'm the Executive Officer for the Marriage and Family Therapy Program and Social Worker Licensing Program. On behalf of the department, I will stand on the written comments. While the department appreciates the intent of this measure, the creation of this new license type appears contrary to the provisions of Hawaii Revised Statutes Section 26H-2, which provides in part that the regulation and licensing of professions and vocations shall be undertaken only where reasonably necessary to protect the health, safety, or welfare of consumers of the services. The purpose of the regulation shall be the protection of the public welfare and not that of the regulated professional vocation. A new licensure scheme should not be implemented for purposes of reimbursement only. Furthermore, these could have unintended consequences such as higher costs for services rendered and could be passed to consumers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Department of Health.
Just going to pause there for a second. I was really surprised to hear that, particularly because the statement that it's in the public's best interest or protection of the public, that would be the argument against it. I would say that would actually be the argument for it, because the whole point of this is because we don't have enough providers to serve those seeking services. So we want to increase the number of providers available so that we can, in fact, protect the public. So it'll be interesting to see how that particular opposition unfolds as we move forward in the process. I want to just note that of the written testimonies, I think there were 40 that were in support. I think were 40 that just had comments, and I think there were only 9 that were opposed. I think those numbers are correct, or maybe was that right, Danny? You're on mute there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there's strong support for this bill, but there are, probably some important things to consider in the opposition that we'll have to address so that people feel comfortable with this. All right, let's see what else folks had to say. This is exciting.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. I'm Dr. Janelle Hernandez-Armstrong from the Department of Health, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify in support of SB 2829. I've submitted written testimony. I'd just like to add that we're currently facing several job openings, both for psychologists within our department and for master's level clinicians who provide services to the youth within our community. We often have this difficulty. It's a continual problem that we face, maintaining strong providers for our youth. And a lot of that is due to just being able to maintain people in this community because of financial stressors. The youth of our community deserve the best mental health that we can provide. And I think this bill would accomplish that goal by keeping and bringing much needed mental health professionals to our state. Additionally, many other states use these provisions, and I myself had a license as a postdoctoral trainee and was able to obtain my license by sitting for the exam prior to completing my postdoctoral training. So I just feel like a lot of the existing laws are preventing us from being able to get mental health providers in our state, and we're severely understaffed in that area, and our youth need more, as do all the other members of our community. And we stand on the remainder of our testimony, and I'm available for questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Hawaii Department of Public Safety offering comments. Okay, CBT Jim. Mr. Miller offering comments.
Okay, hello. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. I'm Justin Miller, a licensed mental health counselor. Thank you for the opportunity to give testimony here. My message is a simple one of fairness and inclusion. I respectfully ask that licensed mental health counselors be included in this bill. My marriage and family therapy colleagues make frequent mention in their written testimony of not letting mental health be an afterthought. I completely agree, and I implore you to not let mental health counselors be an afterthought in this mental health bill. In my written testimony from page 33 onwards, the work has been done to make this easy to do. You will find an update which includes licensed mental health counselors. Please don't penalize the people of Hawaii or the licensed counselors or the students training in mental health counseling just because as a group, mental health counselors weren't well funded with lobbyist support. For those who say pass the bill anyway, I think this is wrong. For those who say pass the bill now and think about counselors later, it will be easy to add them later, I say this is not at all true. The evidence doesn't support this. Legislation is never easy and takes time to pass. So please, I urge you all to do the right thing. It's easy. Please use the updated version of the mental health bill found in my testimony that includes mental health counselors. I'd also just like to note briefly, states that have associate licensure do not exclude counselors. Passing this mental health bill without including our state's valuable licensed mental health counselors would be an embarrassment to Hawaii and would create an unhelpful tiered mental health system, which would fragment the care available and go against the very spirit of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Hawaiian Islands Association for Marriage and Family Therapy in support.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, Committee. Mahalo for hearing my testimony. I just want to offer that a couple of numbers. In Hawaii, it's 320 to 1. In Honolulu, it's Hawaii Island specifically. Honolulu, 370 to 1. Kauai, 480 to 1. Maui, 550 to 1. And in Molokai, there are no registered providers. And these are all the ratios. The first number is the number of clients, and the second number is to each therapist that is available across the island. So clearly, the demand for services far exceeds the viable supply of local mental health providers. And even before the pandemic, we were facing a shortage of about 10,000 full-time equivalent providers across the country. And some estimates put that now around 15,000. And it is my belief that the associate level licensure that is insurance reimbursable is the most efficient means of meeting our state's mental health needs. We have talented post-degree pre-licensed therapists who either leave the state or leave the field because they can't earn a living during the 12 to 24 month post-degree clinical experience period. and or afford to pay for supervision that can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000. I have personal experience with this here in the state with an MFT post-degree pre-licensee who was trying to start a therapy program using Olelo Hawaii, and we had to close that program because we couldn't afford to keep it going. As has been mentioned, fortunately 23 other states have already done this, and we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just modernizing it. Thank you so much for hearing my testimony. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have the Hawaii Psychological Association in support.
Aloha, Chair Keohokalole, Vice Chair Baker, members of the Senate Health Committee. My name is Becky Gardner, testifying on behalf of the Hawaii Psychological Association. I'm delighted to be here to testify on this bill, although I would have preferred some of our psychologists to be here before you right now, but there is a Board of Psychology meeting happening currently. So I'm in their stead, but I think this is a really interesting case in point, because one of the things that this bill does is address one of the unintended consequences of a law that's on our books that requires state psychologists. They can be hired, but if they don't get their licensure within 2 years, they have to be fired. And that actually happened during the pandemic because the Board of Psychology wasn't meeting in time to give these people licenses. So we are losing people based on some pukas in the law. And so the way I see this bill, I can't say that it's complete because, we're hearing from mental health counselors that they want to be represented as well. But in a way, it sort of represents the bucket of demand for mental health services. There's great demand, as we've heard, and we're trying to fill that bucket with a supply of providers. Our bucket are our laws, and there are some holes in it. We're losing some people to the mainland because they can get paid for that pre-licensed work. We're losing people to the mainland because they can take the test over there and maybe decide to stay. There are certain requirements, perhaps someone has emergencies in their family and they can't keep up with doing free work while raising a family or doing some caretaking. So there's a lot of little fixes in this bill that we encourage the committee to look at carefully. I also note that this is a low-cost bill. It's self-funded. It'll be, there's no appropriation in this bill. It's going to be drawn from licensing fees. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Next, we have the National Association of Social Workers.
Aloha, Senators. Thanks for having us today and for hearing this bill. It does a lot of things. So first of all, this isn't a radical or revolutionary idea. We already do this in social work, right? So there's a model for this in the state. We have an LSW exam, which is our postmaster's level exam. And we want that to be offered to our allied professions as well, so that there's an ability to be licensed and to be garnering your experience. What isn't clear in our licensing law, and this law actually helps to clarify, is that some of the health insurance companies read it that an LCSW who is supervising an LSW can bill under their own license. And some of the health insurance companies read it as that's not allowed. So this bill fixes that and allows for supervision of an LCSW supervising an LSW and then being able to bill for insurance for that, which allows for more one-on-one contact and in-person supervision with therapy. So a lot of our providers graduate, they end up in larger scale practice, they end up working for agencies and don't get as much experience doing the clinical work that we'd like them to be doing because there isn't a mechanism to pay them for that work. So this helps to do that and helps with the brain drain from our state. And it's something that has been in the works for a while. We've been working with the other agencies to do that because honestly, all of our providers are maxed out. Everyone, the pandemic is, exhausting as a community, but as a community of mental health providers, everyone is full. Everyone has waiting lists. This is something that will accelerate our ability to open up the pool to see more people in our community, to take more people on for mental health care and for treatment, because we have people who are trained, who are graduated, who are in this time period. For social workers, it's between 2 and 5 years. That's the number of hours that you have to receive. So we have people who are already in there who we could activate to be seeing clients, to be providing care in the community. And this would allow us to do that and really activate more people to help in the community, as well as with our allied professions. It would create what we have for them, which is this ability to have this intermediary license. So you're fully trained, you've done all of your grad school, and now you're under the supervision of a higher level clinician. For us, it's the LCSW. Thanks again, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Wellness Partners Hawaii Incorporated in support.
Hey there, committee. My name is Bradley Kuo. I'm the owner and provider for Wellness Partners Hawaii. We have 11 therapists in our group, including psychologists, LCSWs, LMFTs, and LMHCs. We submitted our testimony, stand on that testimony, and we are available for any questions. We are in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me see. Toby Broidel, offering comments.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I don't have anything new to say, really. I just want to echo what some people have said before. I believe that this is a pretty serious mental health crisis in the state. I live in Hilo personally, and I see a lot of people just like out on the street. There's like rampant drug addiction, mental illness, and I just don't think that there should be any barriers to services. And that would also necessitate adding mental health counselors to this bill, just to kind of expand the realm of services that would be available. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Samantha Bilo in support.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Samantha Balo. I'm in support of Bill 2829 with the language change to add mental health counselors. As a case manager at a mental health agency in our local community of Hilo, I'm aware of the massive need for mental health clinicians in both Hilo and the whole state. I'm also a master's student at the University of Hawaii Hilo. The counseling psychology program prepares us to work as mental health counselors in the state of Hawaii. If this bill is to increase access to mental health services, then it is imperative that mental health counselors are not left out of this bill and language is changed to add us. An amendment has been submitted as testimony by Justin Miller, LMHC in the state of Hawaii, that I strongly support. In many other states, a provisional license is granted once passing a state exam, then hours are accrued for up to 2 years and you apply for your state license. In the state of Hawaii, we don't have a provisional license yet. The consequences to our community due to this gap in licensure are endless. Many private and group practice providers are unable to hire unlicensed providers because they cannot bill insurance companies for their services. This means graduates are typically forced to take low, underpaid positions in larger agencies, and some of these are wonderful positions, but the options are limited. 30% of these graduates wind up leaving the field due to not making enough money to support themselves. If this bill is intended to increase access to mental health services, that it is imperative that mental health counselors are not left out of this bill. Thank you for your time, Samantha.
Thank you very much. That's all the registered testimony we have. Is there anyone else that would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to know in terms of written testimony, there were 41 individuals or organizations who testified in support, 9 in opposition, and 40 who submitted comments. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none.
I know that was a little lengthy. I just thought it was really important for folks to see that process. And just to clarify, I know HIAMFT's official position was always to be inclusive of the mental health providers qualified to provide services in the state. We had no intention of omitting or preventing licensed mental health counselors from being on this bill. We just couldn't find anybody to represent them. So I hope that this is an invitation for them to pull together, and we'll certainly as an organization support them in doing that however we can. but I want to, huge shout out to Justin Miller and Sam Bailo and Charmaine Higa at the UH counseling program for really helping to get folks activated, the mental health counselors, to hop in there, and your efforts paid off. You were able to, get that provision in there. So I feel so good about that. I really want us all to be able to, have equal footing in this thing. Yeah, I was so nervous doing that. I gotta tell you, that was only my second time ever testifying on anything. My first time was earlier in the week on one of the audio-only telehealth bills. So hopefully next time, today, when I testify, I can be a little bit more relaxed. Third time's a charm, right? Danny, any thoughts from you or reflections as you watch that?
No, I feel good that they amended the bill to add the licensed mental health counselors, because we do need to come together. I think the layers of hierarchy, us versus them, has got to be an old game. And I think everybody's got to be tired of playing it. The pandemic has changed the way that we work, and we have to work together. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, well said. Well, on that note, I guess what I would offer folks is let's work together. Let's continue to do that. The more support that we can have for this thing, the more likely it is to pass. It next goes to the House committee, and we've got to show up for that. Live testimony seems to be really important and helpful. Sharing personal stories, sharing whatever a person's particular perspective is on this seems to be helpful. Almost everything that was said by those in support, I would have said too, but you only have 2 minutes. So as I was reading the things that I had thought were going to be important, I only got about halfway through what I had written before I realized, shoot, I'm going to run out of time. But then Sonia from the social workers hopped in and said some of the things that I would have said. But everyone said something. So, wow. We'll keep you posted. Check our social media feed for updates. We'll certainly send out to our listserv email updates, hopefully the correct email update on when you can testify. As soon as a hearing is set, we'll notify you. And I would highly recommend that folks create an account, which you have to do anyway on the Hawaii state legislator website to submit testimony. You've got to have an account. But on there, they have these cool measure tracking features where you can actually take this particular bill and you can put it into like a favorites folder, essentially, and sign up for email notifications. So anytime anything happens on that bill, you'll get notified right away. That's probably the fastest, easiest, most, trustworthy way that you can do that. So do that would be my recommendation. And hey, if you don't want to do any of that, become a member of HIAMFT or HPA or NASW or the Mental Health Counselors Organization once they get it back together. We'll, through your membership dues, we're able to fund our lobbyist, who is well worth the money. She is a dynamo. She works so hard for us behind the scenes. She's just tirelessly going through bills, creating meetings with senators and representatives from the House and DCCA directors so that we can hooey and really get to know each other and find out what is it that all those people need and want relative to what we as organizations and as providers need and want to ultimately serve our clients, the community. So Becky Gardner, shout out to you. You're awesome. And I think that's all I got for today, Danny.
Okay. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock today, our care, our choice. Stay tuned for other updates on other bills. So mahalo, Danny, for being here.
Thank you.
And mahalo all for supporting HIAMFT and all mental health services in Hawaii. And we will see you next Monday around the same time. Aloha.